Good evening and welcome to Beaches Watch community meeting tonight. We are excited to have our council member representative Rory Diamond as our speaker tonight. Before we get started with Councilman Diamond, I just have a few announcements to make. First, I would like to actually recognize some of our elected officials who have tuned in. We have Mayor Ellen Glasser from Atlantic Beach, and we have Mayor Chris Hoffman from Jacksonville Beach. We will probably have more officials coming in later, but right now we'll go ahead and recognize them. Some announcements coming up. So as you know, we video our meetings. So if you happen to miss it or not be able to stay for the whole meeting, you can always tune in tomorrow at our YouTube channel, Beaches Watch 2012. We're always accepting memberships, so it's time to renew or join for 2021. It's $15 for individual, $20 for family, and $5 for student. Our yearly memberships are valid January through December, so you can renew your membership and or make a donation online at beacheswatch.com. I'm also remiss in not recognizing Jacksonville Beach City Councilwoman Sandy Golding, who is also on our board. So thank you, Sandy. A couple of announcements here from Atlantic Beach. Town Hall will be held Saturday, April 10th at 10 a.m. That will be at the Gail Baker Community Center, 2072 George Street in Atlantic Beach. The topics covered will be the tree code update, connectivity, and open topics. So the public is always invited to attend and give your input. Earth Day Art Show opening reception will be April 22nd, 2021 from 5 to 8 p.m. This will be featuring sustainable Earth exhibition and art competition. The location will be the Word Revolt Art Gallery, located at 1249 Mayport Road. Anyone who needs the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, application deadline is April 9 at 6 p.m. Please go to coj.net/BRAP to apply online. Next page. Our 2021 legislative session will end April 30th. To receive legislative alerts via email and or text, you can text all caps home rule to 50457. To receive Florida League of Cities legislative session info via email, you can apply it at bit.ly/FLC email alerts. As you know, our representatives are Senator Aaron Bean and Representative Cord Bird. Their email addresses are on the screen as well as on our website. So if you have any input to give to them, please send it directly to their website or their email, I'm sorry. April 6th is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Women's Center's 24-hour rape crisis hotline is 904-721-7273. Beaches Watch, we are currently soliciting applications for the Flan Sharp Memorial Scholarship. Deadline for students to apply is May 1st, 2021. The application for the Fletcher High School seniors is on our website, beacheswatch.com, at 2021 Beaches Watch Scholarship. The applications are online, so hopefully that makes it very convenient for the students to apply. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, May 5th at 7 p.m. This is regarding recycling. And the topic is recycling is not the answer. Our speaker will be Anne Marie Moakland from Beaches Go Green. So please put that on your calendar. There's a lot of myths about recycling, and hopefully we will be able to dispel what those myths are, and what is recyclable and what is not recyclable, and what happens when it's not recyclable. So Anne Marie will be most informative when it comes to that. So without further ado, we will go ahead and start our town hall with our Jacksonville City Councilman Representative Rory Diamond. Welcome, Rory. It's been a while. You've been very busy, not only serving the beaches community, but also your nonprofit K9 for Warriors. Congratulations
Thanks for that.
On your milestone. I think you just celebrated your 10th year anniversary.
Yeah, 10 years and almost 700 Warrior graduates.
That's excellent. So thank you so much for all you're doing for our veterans, our community, and for our beaches community. So we look forward to this. Again, as a reminder, those who are online, please utilize the chat box to put any questions, any comments in there. We will be monitoring that, and we will have Q&A after Councilman Diamond's presentation. So Rory, we will turn it over to you.
You're awesome. Thanks, Miss Maria. I certainly appreciate you. And it's always awesome to be on Beaches Watch and to visit with you. I miss being in person at the library, but we'll have to survive with this, I guess, for a little bit longer. But I was proud to be the vice president of Beaches Watch for a couple of years when we did our rebranding and focused on all sorts of great stuff. So always good to be with you. What I'll do is just run through a couple of issues here on a PowerPoint and try and highlight them quickly so that we can cover a lot of ground over the next hour. But I certainly want to hear your questions and engage with what you all care about. Let me just say this. I'm rounding up on 2 years as your Beaches City Councilman on the Jacksonville City Council. It has been a wild ride for sure. We've had the biggest scandal in the history of the city with JEA. I was proud to be the chairman of the investigatory committee, blowing that open and trying to clean up our government. We've had, of course, all sorts of changes in our community. We've had to engage with racial injustice. We've had to deal with COVID. We've had an entire shutdown of our city. We had shutdowns of our beaches. It's been a 2 years, I think, unlike any in the history of the city, but still we've been able to get a lot done. And it has absolutely been my honor to represent all of you. I love getting to do it. I love our community. So my assistant, Mackenzie, has got these slides. So why don't we get going, Ms. Mackenzie? That's just me. All right, so just so you know what I do every day for you, besides answering questions and engaging with our communities, I serve on our neighborhoods community. I'm on the land use and zoning, which is a very important committee. I'm the sister cities liaison, working with international cities across the country who want to partner with Jacksonville in all sorts of different ways. And of course, the Fire Watch, which is our 5-county regional effort to lower veteran suicide. I'm proud to be the founder of the Fire Watch. I'll talk about it at the very end. My biggest push as your council person, besides representing our interests downtown, has been to try and clean up our government. I've been very candid that I think our government in downtown Jacksonville needs to get better. It's simply not the level of, it's simply not ethical enough to me. It's not fair enough to residents. It's not the type of government we want yet. So we've proposed many bills, and here's just a sampling of some of them that we have passed. And I'll say all of these have passed 19-0 in our effort to, as I say, clean up Jack. So first of all, we've got these wonderful council auditors who are doing incredible work, but our entities in the city government were simply ignoring council auditor requests. So we made it impossible for them to do that, including JEA, that they would have to respond within 2 business days. In addition to that, we made every entity in the city of Jacksonville and the city of Jacksonville government itself have to respond to council auditors' questions within 2 business days. Very important to empower them to do their research, to keep tabs on our city government. A really simple reform that's going a long way. Also stopped contracts that have no limit. If you can imagine, for 50 years, the city of Jacksonville has allowed limitless contracts, and it's hurt us multiple times. So I passed a law that would say you have to have a max indebtedness provision in every single contract for the city. Same thing with this notion that we've got this turnstile of elected officials and appointees who go into office, and immediately when they leave office, they're lobbying the people that they used to work with. That's considered very unethical in other places, and the city of Jacksonville is totally okay. So we made it so that there has to be a 2-year break between when you serve on a committee or you're elected to a position before you start lobbying and consulting for compensation of the same entities. A really simple reform. It was very unpopular with the people who wanted to do it, but we pushed it through. It passed 19-0. Most recently, we had our NOPE bill go through. And what that would do and what it was supposed to do is stop automatic pay raises for city council members. If you can imagine, last August, in the middle of the pandemic, I got a pay raise and I didn't even know about it. And there was no vote on it. So we proposed the bill that would require council to have a simple up or down vote on any pay raises to stop the automatic pay raises. It kind of got gutted by an amendment, but at the very least, you can go online and you can see which members of the city council got accepted a pay raise or not. Yesterday, I signed a document that says I will never get a pay raise ever. And my pay goes back to what happened when I was first elected by you all to the council. And I'm going to keep proposing our bill to stop automatic pay raises because I think it's important transparency. We did a big push this month with the 3 Beaches mayors and the Women's Center to do a sexual assault awareness campaign at the beaches. This actually goes back to last year when I met with the Women's Center, and they are incredible, doing incredible work. They both work on prevention and then also help women and men who've been sexually assaulted and how they get these psychological needs met and also hopefully get justice for the people who assaulted them. I found out that there were 55 sexual assaults in Jax Beach over the last 3 years, and typically only about 25% of sexual assaults are ever reported. So if you can imagine, over the last 3 years, we've had at least 200 sexual assaults in just Jacksonville Beach, and the numbers are similar proportionally for Neptune and Atlantic Beach. And I said, that's outrageous. And I asked the Women's Center what we could do, and we talked about doing a campaign. Unfortunately, COVID came along and stopped us from doing it. But the 3 Beaches mayors and I, along with the Women's Center, pushed it last week. We did a big rollout. You'll see in all the bars and restaurants across Jax Beach, Neptune Beach, and Atlantic Beach, all these things that you see in that picture there about the rape crisis hotline. And I think it's important to note that it's the 3 beaches working together. I am so blessed to get to work with Mayor Glasser, Mayor Hoffman, and Mayor Brown. And it is the greatest thing as a district council person to have these 3 incredible women to work with and the rest of the city council members. But the sexual assault awareness campaign is ongoing. The materials are distributed and it's a big deal. We need to get that number to 0. And like we're saying, it's 3 beaches, 1 mission, end sexual assault. As you may know, there was a massive scandal. I won't go through all this, I promise. But JEA, when I did my town hall about 19, 20 months ago, I got questions over and over from you all whether or not I would support selling JEA. If you go look at the tape, I made it really clear that the answer was no. What I didn't know at the time was that this was evolving into a massive scandal. And by the time December came around, I, along with Councilman Ron Salem, who's from the Arlington area, pulled all the senior JEA executives into a room and demanded that they answer questions. And the result of that meeting, which was covered by all the news and was very high pressure, was that Aaron Zahn was removed as the CEO of JEA the very next day. Eventually, all of the JEA executives were removed. And then I was appointed chairman of a board of a special investigatory committee to investigate JEA. First time in the history of the city of Jacksonville that the city council had an investigatory committee and used those powers. First time in the history of the city of Jacksonville that we used our subpoena powers. And we did. And a report finally came out. We ended up getting literally tens of millions of documents, lots of live testimony, over 40 witnesses interviewed, put together a final report, which came in December. And now there's a federal grand jury that will meet again tomorrow. And I strongly suspect that you will see senior executives from JEA be indicted and ultimately go to jail. I'm not saying that's as a result of our work, but we're very proud that I think it was one of the city of Jacksonville's city council's highest and best days that we stood up and said, listen, this thing with JEA isn't right, and we're going to do our part to get to the bottom of it. And we really did. We got tons of information out there. And ultimately, all those executives were replaced. The entire board was replaced. And I don't think there will be another attempt to try and sell JEA for quite some time. All right, so getting to the beaches here, probably the most important thing I'm going to be able to do for you all is to get Penman Road fixed. It is my passion. Sandy Golding shares his passion with me. I know Mayor Hoffman shares his passion with me, but we absolutely need to take Penman Road and make it a much more beautiful, much more user-friendly road. And just to be clear, that doesn't mean going from 2 lanes to 4. What that means is redesigning it, having much more beautiful sidewalks, having much easier crossings, and ultimately making it the type of thing that makes it easy for everybody to use, both people who need to cross it, kids who need to get to school, and families that need to drive up and down it. It's the second most important road, in my opinion, in the beaches. So I've made it a priority for me to get it cleaned up. You'll already see some of the stuff has been done. Some of the crossings, we have these RRFBs, which light up. You'll see them on 4th Avenue, 15th Avenue, and 8th Avenue, and those have been installed. And then special emphasis crosswalks are being installed. Mackenzie, if you want to go, we can show you what some of the types of pictures we can do. These are the crossings, just so you know where we went. But this is not going to be what we do, but this is going to be the type of thing that we do. So what you'll see is, instead of having that horrible, terrible, hard to use little tiny sidewalk, you're going to have a 10-foot wide user path and a bike path, and an ability for people to get up and down Penman Road in a flat, consistent way. We'll purchase huge amounts of the right of way. We'll put, instead of having these big dippy swells, you'll have culverts, which keep it nice and flat. So we'll have a really nice sidewalk, really nice bike path, and trees, hopefully some medians. This is what you call a road diet. So you actually narrow it, but it improves traffic flow. Because I know we can all hate waiting on Penman Road or any of our roads, but the future for us for this street is strong. The way it's working right now is we've got a study going on, and the study will take about 6 months to complete. And once the study is done, then we will know what the cost is and what the challenges are. And we'll come back to the 3 beaches cities, in particular Jax Beach and Neptune Beach, talk to them about what we think we can do with Penman Road. And then ultimately, it's already in the capital improvement plan for the city of Jacksonville at $20 million in a couple of years out. And we will one day have a very beautiful redone Penman Road. That's my commitment to you. We're going to make it happen. If you look at this next slide, this was a study the city of Jax Beach did years ago about what Penman Road might look like. And it's not probably far off where we end up with. If you really hate traffic circles, don't worry. We haven't made any decisions yet. We're a long way from decisions, and we'll involve everybody in the process. But this is the type of thing that we can do to improve what I think is a very, very important street in our community. All right, I love getting to talk about Mayport. So everybody knows that Mayport just got hollowed out when the Jacksonville Transportation Authority just kind of like grabbed a huge chunk of the center of it and then said they were going to put a cruise terminal there. And as it turned out, they never did. And so Mayport really got hurt, and the working waterfront went away. And our job now is to get the working waterfront back again. And the number one way you can do that is to first do the docks. I'll talk about the community center in a moment, but to do new docks. And we'll have new docks put in, and almost immediately the first one is going to go in. The first new dock is going to be for O-Search and for another organization that is training kids how to become seamen and women, how to work on boats, and it should be a nice addition out there. And then you'll see $1.5 million of docks coming in for the next 3 years. So eventually we can get more fishing boats back and have our working waterfront. Mackenzie, if you want to go back to the community center, the community center is going to start construction in the next 30-60 days. We should have a nice event out there. It's across the street by where the playground is now. It's going to replace that, kind of pretty sad building, which is basically just thrown together in the parking lot. That will be removed. There'll be extra parking, and then you'll see this really beautiful building. If you want to go to the next slide. It's designed after Hotel Duval. It's tried to fit in with the character of the neighborhood. The first floor is going to be mostly meeting space, and the second floor will have a little bit of room for JTA. It'll have some room for our sport fishermen so they can keep their things when they have these big fishing tournaments. And otherwise, this will be available for rent. It'll be available for community meetings. It should be a nice place. We should do Beaches Watch there once it's up and out of the ground. But this will anchor the farthest east part of the Mayport Village as it gets reborn. And the Mayport waterfront group is working very hard to attract new investors and to get people excited about what Mayport is going to be in the future. So super exciting, all of these things. Mayport is going to change over the next 5 to 10 years and be more the town and the village that we want it to be. Keep on going, Miss Mackenzie. The O-Search piece of this puzzle is easy to miss. My predecessor, Bill Gulliford, This is his baby, and he did such a good job with it. O-Search is that group that tags sharks all across the world. They get literally billions and billions of hits on their website, and their new headquarters and where their boat will be is going to be in Mayport. And so it's already famous, but it'll be world famous for the sharks also. And pretty excited to see their 126-foot boat anchored there. And just think of all of the other things we can do. JU can have their floating dock there. Students are going to come there and learn about all these different things. So very exciting about Mayport. A quick catch up on COVID-19. Y'all asked me to talk about this. I've spent a massive amount of time working on COVID stuff for the beaches, and I obviously my honor to do it, but there's a lot to it. So let me just run through it. First of all, we've done a whole bunch of food drives. We started those right off the bat. People were losing their jobs or otherwise couldn't get food. And so we've done periodic food drives. We're about to do another one in Mayport to help military families. And then we'll have another one at Mayport Elementary for everybody. They've been extremely well received. In addition to that, we just donate extra food to Beam that distributes it to our community. All good stuff. The first thing that I was asked for when COVID was happening was that we get testing locations at the beach. Worked very hard with the mayor, and eventually we finally got the Kmart Shopping Center to be a great testing site. It was free. They did really good testing of both types of tests, and residents were responding that they really enjoyed the best you can getting tested for COVID, the experience there. And to the extent we need it, it'll continue. And then of course, the vaccine. Everybody wants to have easy access to the vaccine. The first thing we were able to get is at Regency. So it was, obviously way down Atlantic. And then things started to get closer. We pushed really hard and we were able to get it at the Walmart at Kernan, which was then the next closest site. And then finally, we were able to get a Jacks Beach mobile site, which is coming back again. So fully understand people want vaccinations at the beach. We worked hard. I lobbied the mayor as often as I could, probably too often. He got really annoyed with me, but we finally have Jacks Beach as a mobile site. And I suspect you'll get more and more of these. Obviously, you can go to Publix and Winn-Dixie and Walmart's and Sam's Club, CVS. So it's becoming much more available. If you are in trouble or you know somebody who's in trouble, there are tons of programs now for mortgage relief, rent relief, all the rest. We are happy to help you navigate that process if you'd like it. The people at the beaches are members and citizens of the city of Jacksonville, so you are qualified if you to get relief if you need it and you meet their certain financial restrictions. Keep going, Mackenzie. I co-sponsored every single COVID relief bill immediately. I was very passionate about pushing all this stuff out. Oh, that's right. Sorry. The name of the boat is the Florida Youth Maritime Training Program. That's the boat that will share the other side of it with O-Search in Mayport, and a great organization. Really excited to meet those guys. In addition to just co-sponsoring all the bills that were helping the entire city, we brought 175 grand to Beam to help them. We got 56,000 for Jacks Beach Elementary Preservation Fund. The Northeast Florida Exchange Club got 150. Our friend Chris Hoffman got 50,000 for the Beaches Museum. In addition to that, we launched a Keep Our Homes campaign with Beam, and man, the people at Beam are amazing. And we worked so hard to raise money to keep our beaches residents in their homes during COVID. That campaign is continuing. So if you want to donate to someone who is doing great work in our community to help families that are actually in crisis, Beam is the way to go. I know with this group, I don't have to tell you, but please consider helping us out with the Keep Our Homes campaign, as it's really important. And then finally, we had a really good group of people who were doing runs to restaurants and to stores to help our seniors or otherwise people who were stuck inside their homes to get what they needed. Now it's not really required anymore because people have been vaccinated and people feel more comfortable going to stores. But for a while there, we did get a lot of supermarket runs done. It was fun. My mom was one of them. It was good. All right, the beach pier. So hopefully you've seen out there that it doesn't look as bad as it usually does. We got held up by COVID. There was really nothing that the city of Jacksonville could do. What happened was last summer when COVID hit, the people who run the permits basically shut them down in the federal government. So we went as far as we could with the permits we had, and then we had to wait, and it was infuriating. But here's what's going on now. The bottom line is by next late spring, the pier will be finished. That's what we're told. And I have a pretty good feeling that they will be on time, because since COVID stopped and we got our environmental permits, they've been exactly right about everything. What you'll see going on right now is a structure that is actually now longer than the pier is. And from that structure, as I'm sure you can imagine, they're building a new pier and going along because you have to actually be able to hold the equipment. In addition, you might see big like scooping machines, like removing stuff from the bottom. They're not actually working on the old pier. What they're doing is picking up pieces of the old pier that had fallen into the water and were under sand. It's a very, very sensitive process. We don't want to destroy the environment down there. So it's a delicate but important thing to get into that murky, deep water and pick up pieces of the old pier, put them on barges, and then take them to a reclamation site. So we are on our way with the pier. Trust me, I share your frustration that it has taken this long, but we will get there. Here's some good pictures of it. You can see it. This was just from February. And you'll see that they're working on the middle section of the pier. The reason why that's important is that's where the new pier is going to go up. The new design of the pier includes 8 more feet of clearance. And the hope is that if we ramp up 8 more feet towards the end of the pier, that the next hurricane, which will absolutely come, won't knock this pier out the way it did the last one. And keep on rolling through. We've got beach renourishment going on. As you'll probably remember, it was just a couple of years ago that the Department of Army Corps of Engineers came through and replenished our entire beaches. It was a wonderful thing for us because all you have to do is look at St. Johns County and the Ponte Vedra beaches to see what it looks like if it didn't happen. If you go over there, it's almost like smashing on pink concrete. But our beaches are beautiful right now. And as part of that deal, we had to also do tilling. So you'll see a bunch of tilling going on out there. It's simply part of our requirements to make sure that we're maintaining the beaches. And we want to keep these beaches for as long as we can. I did just talk to someone from the Army Corps the other day who is walking. We walked the entire from Jack's Beach all the way to the top of Neptune Beach, looking at the dunes. And he and I both agreed that our dune system has never been healthier. And so obviously super important to all of us to keep the dunes healthy. All right, Mackenzie's moving me along here. I like it. Hanna Park. So tons of stuff going on at Hanna Park. First of all, we're going to make it so that veterans and active duty families and Gold Star families get to use Hanna Park for free. It's an important piece of legislation that's working its way through City Council right now, and ready to get that done. We are also doing new pavilions in the parking lot, so you'll see those coming in. We also have in the CIP that we're going to have a new auditorium built out there, which should be beautiful. Restrooms in the East Building and Lee Hall have all been upgraded already. If you haven't checked out the new stuff at Hanna Park, you really need to. And then Mayor Glasser is super excited to see this one. This is probably not the best picture of what we're going to do, but we're going to do a new bike park off of Mayport Road connecting into Hanna Park, which will be a new entrance for Hanna Park. Again, it's going to look a lot nicer than this, but essentially a pump track and bike park is going to be implemented. It's going to happen in 22 and 23. So 22 and 2023, you'll see us go in and take about, I think it's like 40 acres of unused land right now that borders Mayport Road and build a beautiful new bike park in there. So I know lots of people are passionate about biking at the beaches. This will be the center of our biking universe. A couple of other things, Neptune Beach Senior Center. I know all of us were really brokenhearted when we started to pick at that, and then it looked like we had to tear the whole thing down. So they're working very hard in Neptune Beach to get that rebuilt, and I found $75,000 in a fund, and we went and grabbed it, and it looks like it'll pass next Tuesday. So a nice gift for Neptune Beach from the city of Jacksonville we were able to get through. So far, all the committees that have looked at this have passed it unanimously. So I'm pretty confident on Tuesday, I'm going to be able to hand Ms. Leslie and Mayor Brown a $75,000 check to help get that Neptune Beach Senior Center rebuilt and all pretty and finished. Isle of Palms, most people don't know this, but our beaches district includes a lot of the intercoastal and a lot of the communities that are east of San Pablo Road. One of them, of course, is Isle of Palms. There's others also, but we were able to find almost $900,000 for their dredge. They have to dredge their canals every 10 years. It was that time. And they asked for my help. And I said, listen, the city of Jacksonville doesn't pay for dredges anymore. But what we found was an old fund that was 10 years old that had almost $1 million sitting in it. And after a lot of arm twisting, they let it go and let us give it to the Isle of Palms community. So we were able to get their dredge done. We passed a fake service dog law for the entire city of Jacksonville. Would love to see Atlantic Beach and Jax Beach grab this law too. We did pass it in Neptune Beach when I was a city councilman, but it is essentially a state-of-the-art fake service dog law for the city of Jacksonville. And we're super proud of it because it is being replicated across the country. Obviously, as the CEO of Canines for Warriors, I care a lot about stopping fake service dogs. So, oh, I see Jax Beach just passed it. That's amazing. So my apologies. Forgive me, Chris and Sandy and team. So that's great news. I love to hear it. But the fake service dog laws are great. What else we got? My Town Buys America. Right in the middle of the pandemic, I found out that we offered no benefits to any manufacturers that the city of Jacksonville was purchasing from for making things in America. And I thought that was crazy. So we had a pretty tough fight, but I wrote legislation and got it passed 15 votes to 4. And we're able to get a small benefit to anybody who's manufacturing in America. We also give a small benefit to anyone manufacturing in Jacksonville. So this is important stuff. Future legislation. One thing we're going to do for the beaches police departments is that when JSO wants to surplus a vehicle to essentially give free ones to the 3 beaches cities, I'm very passionate that you all are already paying for everything that the city of Jacksonville has. So if they're going to throw it away, we've already paid for it. We should get it. So I'm going to work on that. And I suspect it'll pass. I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, but I'm pretty sure we'll be able to offer the 3 beach police departments vehicles from JSO, which will be exciting. And then Mayor Glasser just asked me about this the other day, whether or not we could find a reallocation for money in our CIP to help the Gail Baker Community Center, Atlantic Beach, and to rebuild the Atlantic Beach Lifeguard Station. That is fully underway. I think it's going to happen. I won't make the promise, but I'm working really hard to make sure that it does. Either way, we're going to find ways to help each 3 beaches cities. And then finally, we're going to have a big political fight no matter what we do. That's the district that I represent for you right now. So I'm sure if you're at Beaches Watch, you live somewhere in this. And my job, my number one job during the redistricting is to keep a beaches seat. Now, the city of Jacksonville historically did not have a beaches seat. It was the beaches shared with Southside or beaches shared with Arlington. And Bill Gulliford worked very hard to make sure that this happened. It's my job to make sure it stays this way. I suspect, though, that our district is going to grow because the rest of Jacksonville is growing faster than the beaches. I think most of us are actually pretty happy about that we're not being inundated with new residents and the density is going up. But I think that if you look at St. Pablo Road, we'll probably have everything to the east of it as it hits the end of its terminus at Atlantic. Last thing I'll talk to you about is the Fire Watch. That's our 5-county effort to lower veteran suicide and get it to 0. It's the first of its kind in the country. The Second Lady of the United States took personal interest in this. Members of Congress have, the VA has. I was honored to found it with 4 other county commissioners, Baker, Clay, Nassau, and St. Johns County, all jumped on board. And so I would just ask everybody here to check out thefirewatch.org, the website. We are trying to train as many citizens as possible to be what we call watchstanders. So these are people who are trained to see the signs of crisis in a veteran and know what resources are available. And it only takes like 30 minutes or so to become a watchstander. So excited to see that program grow and become a national model. And we want to ultimately get our veteran suicide rate to 0. And so that's what we're up to there. That's a lot of slides for a Firewatch, but that's good enough. Last 2 things for just contact information. If you need us, these are all the things that the city of Jacksonville is working on. You can call me, you can call my assistant Mackenzie, or you can, there she is. If you're curious who the actual city council person is for the city, for our beaches community, there she is right there. She's working full-time, 24/7, incredibly responsive, doing a wonderful job for us downtown. So you can always call Mackenzie at her office there. We have made a commitment to you that we will respond to every email, to every text, to every call within 24 hours. And unless it's one of these things where we get like 100 emails on the exact same thing, we have absolutely kept that. So if your trash wasn't getting picked up, if you had an issue with the police, if you had whatever it was, we respond within 24 hours. In 2 years, we have not met that. So proud to be diligently representing you. So that's the presentation. I'll close with just one thing, Miss Maria and Sandy and the rest of the team. It's challenging being the Beaches City Council person because they I'm just one of 19, as Bill Gulliford used to say. And frankly, the rest of the city of Jacksonville thinks that we have everything we need and we're just fine. And basically, we should just be a pipeline of money from the beaches down to Jacksonville. And that's just how it should be. I've been fighting that battle nonstop. And ultimately, we're starting to get more money back to the beaches, whether it's for Penman Road, whether it's for Mayport to get improvements up there, or Second Street is going to get an $11 million improvement over by the marina in Jack's Beach. We're slowly kind of turning the corner there that the beaches don't get neglected. My predecessor did a great job at it. Now I'm fighting that same fight. So there we go. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. And we're on time. Can't hear you, Miss Maria.
Maria, you're muted.
There.
Sorry. Rory, that's a record. You finished on time. We didn't even have to remind you. That was excellent. Thank you so much for that. It's a very detailed presentation. Covered a lot of information, a lot of areas in a very short period of time. We do have a couple of questions and then some comments. So I think our first question is, Councilman Diamond, we need massive infrastructure improvements in our city. We have roads that crumbled into the river, whole areas of town that consistently flood, bridges that need to be rehabbed, a pier made out of sticks, and a need for more public transportation options. Since you've already come out not supporting any tax increases for the Jobs for Jacks program on quote principle, what specific programs do your principals support canceling to fund this? And what principles do you have that allowed you to support over $200 million to a billionaire for Lot J without increase?
Yeah, no, good questions. So the gas tax thing, I have a couple of issues with the gas tax. First of all, the beaches residents have been very clear to me that they don't want to see their taxes go up. The beaches residents are already the highest tax residents in Jacksonville, and they get the least back from the city. So when the city of Jacksonville raises your taxes, say $10, you only need to get about $1 of value back. It doesn't matter what the tax is. So it's a very unfair way that the beaches community is treated. So first of all, that's one thing. If the beaches cities want to raise their taxes and specifically spend it right in the beaches community, that would be a much more efficient way for us to go and get revenue and then fix some of the problems that we care about at the beaches. The second piece of the puzzle is that we actually have significant projects coming to the beaches without having to raise taxes. For example, the Penman Road project will get done without the gas tax, and several others will get done without increasing the gas tax. Finally, the question on Lot J, also a very good question. Easily the toughest vote I've made as your council person. I was on the border. I could have gone either way. Ultimately, I decided to support Lot J because I didn't want to lose the Jaguars, which I think would happen if we don't provide something to this NFL owner to make his team competitive amongst other NFL teams. I see the other side of this argument, no problem. Absolutely, I get it. But losing the Jaguars would be a pretty stunning problem for our city, and I think it would push us in a bad direction. So I really want to keep the Jaguars.
But I thought it was pretty clear that those were like two completely separate, non-related issues as far as Lot J and then whatever improvements the NFL and Shad Khan and the Jaguars needed for the stadium. That was, I mean, those are like apples and oranges.
No, those are apples and apples. Those are absolutely related projects. They've made it very clear.
Okay. Let's go to the next question. Can Mr. Diamond speak to his thoughts on home rule, including the state government overreach by Education Commissioner Corcoran forcing schools to open for brick and mortar during the pandemic, and the governor issuing multiple executive orders not allowing local government to enforce a mask mandate or levy fines?
Sure, excellent question. So COVID was a great example of, three different levels of government all being involved in one issue. And in the case of us at the beaches, 4 levels, because you had the city of Jacksonville and then the 3 beaches cities. each of them had involvement in some way. Anybody who knows me knows I love home rule. I like the most local government to have the most amount of power. So I advocate for the 3 beaches cities all the time to have essentially control over, for example, whether or not the beaches are closing, to have control over where vaccination sites are going, or to have more say on how our government works. Frankly, I think Governor DeSantis has done a very good job through this entire crisis. I think he's done better than most governors. If you look at the numbers, as a big state, we've done better than New York and California, and we didn't shut down our economy. And when it looks at seniors who are being vaccinated, the number of seniors who've passed away due to COVID, we're beating other big states by a large margin. So look, there's pieces of this puzzle I would love to have changed and to have done differently. But by and large, I'm excited that our community is pushing through this and we're getting out the other end.
Okay. Question about bicycle paths along Penman and leading from the beaches to Hannah Park. I guess the question maybe, is there any vision for that happening?
You know, I don't have a good answer to that. I know we're going to get those lanes as far as we can to Seagate, and then it'll be up to the city of Neptune Beach to decide if they want to have bicycle lanes going, you know, for the rest of it to Atlantic Beach. And from Atlantic Boulevard, we'll have to figure out how do you move people along, and what we're essentially calling our greenway. What I've always thought would make the most sense is for us to take a right on Florida. And once you get to Florida, you can get to Jarbo Park. And from Jarbo Park, there's an incredible drainage ditch, which we could improve to get you to Atlantic, which gets you to Atlantic Beach. And then that gets you the full direction. That's been the vision of Mayor Brown for quite a while. If there's anything I can do to help her along with making that happen, I'm going to. But I think the Penman stuff will probably stop at Seagate. But again, the study hasn't been completed. We haven't talked to all the residents about what they want. So we're not entirely sure what that'll look like, but that's my best guess today.
Right. And, you know, there's always been this contentious discussion about opening Seminole Road, the north part of Seminole Road to Hannah Park.
And I personally oppose it. I won't lie. I don't think it would help. But then again, if I did vote in favor of that, or had any say in it, my mom would absolutely kill me. She's a resident who lives just off Seminole Road.
Yeah, I think that, you know, the issue is that there's so much traffic on Seminole Road, and it's growing, you know, and has been for the past several years.
You know, I'm like so many of you. The density that's happening to the beaches is concerning to me. I don't love seeing large lots being sliced into tiny lots. I don't like seeing huge buildings go up. At the same time, people have some property rights, but my hope is that the growth of the beaches is basically stopped, and that it's mostly just regenerating what we already have.
Okay, so this is mainly a comment saying, you know, I want to thank you for your support of the Florida Youth Maritime Training. Thanks to your support, we were able to train 37 young people last year to become employed as merchant seamen with an average starting salary of $37,500. So that's,
and what that commentator is not saying is they're taking kids from really challenged neighborhoods and giving them an incredible skill. And you should see those kids when they're close to graduation. They are scary good at being merchant seamen and women. So it's pretty cool.
That's excellent. That's something that, you know, most kids probably don't even think about.
Right. Yeah,
right?
Who knew?
Right. Here's a question about Riverfront Parks Now is advocating for a network of public green spaces and active parks along the St. Johns River in downtown as a way to improve public access and create resiliency. What is your stance on this project, and how will you proceed?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of parks, period. I know I'm a conservative who likes small government, but there's something magical about parks, especially the riverfront that we could have in downtown Jacksonville. Generally speaking, super fan of having very accessible, beautiful park fronted riverfront. There's going to be a combination of development and riverfront without question, but you can do that in a way that everybody has access and that it's beautiful and it's mostly park. So excited to see the future of that. The worst thing that can happen though is for the Jacksonville riverfront to just stay the way it is. And we've got a jail and empty yards and lots, and it's really hurting the city generally speaking.
So what do you think has been the biggest deterrent as far as us really creating the same kind of ambiance that other cities have been able to create with their river? And some of them have even created a river, if you will, to have that kind of entertainment district, that kind of, you know, ambiance, that family, all of that. I mean, what do you think
It's a great question. And it's one that I ask a lot myself. I'll say, I think this is the biggest issue. We have this 825 square mile monster called Duval County, and you've got 19 city council people and a very strong mayor. And then of course you have the 3 beach cities and Baldwin, and you've got a lot of area to cover and not a lot of money. And so it's been very scattershot and disorganized. I think if we're going to have a really good downtown plan, it needs to be super focused, and we're going to need really good leadership to lift us up to get us there. To me, if I had to guess, I would say it's been a leadership vacuum that has not allowed us to get there. But Jacksonville is not the easiest place to navigate. We've got all sorts of different interests pushing backwards and forwards. And my hope is that we will get there.
I think you can almost say that we're blessed with too many assets.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, look, when they want to spend more money downtown, I usually say, well, you know what? The beaches aren't asking for any money. It's already beautiful. So can we just have our money back, please? And we know how to spend it better than you.
Kind of leading into that, not sort of a sidebar, but there's been this in Beach's Leader about this Orange Crush
Oh, yes.
activity or happening that's supposed to come up in June. And I was asked about it today. I was given a presentation of Beaches Watch, and I was asked about that today. Like, what does that mean? And you know,
so it's been challenging. First of all, a tip of the hat to Mayor Hoffman, who jumped on it immediately, started working with her police department, JSO. Tip of the hat to Mayor Brown and Mayor Glasser, who all jumped in and had a community, had a collective meeting on how to deal with this thing, which is, you know, it looks bad from a distance. I look at the videos and the experience Tybee Island has, and I'm not sure that it's the kind of thing we want. I understand why people are very worried about this. I am very worried about it. There is not an easy answer to it. You can't just say no. So the question is, we need to have all of the resources on the ground, in particular JSO helping our 3 beach police departments so that we can essentially keep our residents safe and push through this. And if it's possible to stop portions of it, I would be in favor of it, but we need to do it in a way that we would treat everybody the same. And so it's a tough line to walk. And I really do believe that our JSO 3 beach police departments will do it well.
absolutely. So here's a question about the pier. Since the city owns the pier, can you get some funding for the entrance and activities, et cetera?
Yeah.
The Mayport improvements 10-year time frame is good, and help with fixing the boardwalk, beach area, and Jack's Beach working together as a destination.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of the pier eventually being managed by the city of Jack's Beach. I won't put it on the city of Jack's Beach today, but I think we would be better off if they were managing it, that stupid fence be gone, that it's free to walk on. And there's other, I mean, look, it's not like that we're making tons of money off of that, you know, $1 to get out there. It's much better to have a big open community where people can use it. I'm sure you'd have tons more people out there. The pier that you see in Charleston, I think, is a good example of an open pier where there's swings and there's benches, and it's essentially becomes a much more usable part of the community. Unfortunately, we can't do things at the end of the pier because of the environmental permits. So we can't do like restaurants and stuff like that. Although it'd be wonderful if we could. They don't permit that stuff anymore. So at the very least, we can make it an accessible pier. I think Jack's Beach would be better off managing it. And I agree that the front of it needs to look a lot better. The answer is yes, we will have funding to do that.
Right. Right. More inviting, more welcoming.
Absolutely. I mean, how often do you go out there? It's annoying. You have to find $1 and walk through that fence. And yeah, we make it much better.
So this is a question about homelessness. And this particular person's talking about the downtown vagrancy and putting people into the warehouse and beaches. Yeah. Do you have
so it's downtown homelessness has been an issue for a very long time. We are blessed to have the Sulzbacher Center. Of course, Cindy Funkhauser's been on the Beaches Watch board with us, and she's an incredible leader. She's done an incredible job building a new village for women and children. I suspect that you're going to see Sulzbacher build another village just for the men, and their focus will be to keep it out of the downtown core. The temporary camps are bad, in my opinion, because they tend to attract problems. They tend to attract drugs and violence and sexual assault and a bunch of other stuff. So I did think it made sense to move folks, but you can't just move folks and say, get out of here. It doesn't work. It's literally a person by person what resources do you need? How long do you need them? What's going on? Are there psychological problems? Are there alcohol and drug abuse problems? Are you actually from here? Are you just passing through? A lot of those folks who were there, it turns out, were just, passing through Jacksonville and found a cool place to stay, in their opinion, and now they've moved on. So you have to do the right thing by each and every human being, but I don't think those things are good for our community. I'll also say this: considering the size of our city, the number of homeless downtown is not like some sky high number. What's different is that if you go to Chicago or you go to Austin, Texas, or Portland, is there's so much going on downtown you don't even notice. And so we need to do better with downtown. And then I suspect that people won't have as many issues with the number of homeless we have down there. And I always say, you remember, these are human beings. So each and every one of them has a path in life. And if we're doing our best job, then we'll find them that path.
And obviously a lot of the homelessness has grown because of COVID.
Without question.
Their
Yep. And there's going to be a huge surge of homeless coming soon. As the rent relief stops, as the eviction relief stops, it's coming. And we should expect that our community at the beaches is going to be particularly hard hit, because so many people were renters who are working hourly jobs in restaurants and bars and all the rest, and they're about to have this relief yanked from them. And so it's going to be ugly for a minute. So we're going to have to rally. I really hope that we can work with Beam again to help those folks when they lose their homes.
I think the bright side of that, as far as people who worked in the restaurant business, restaurants are desperate now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. And look, the beaches are booming. You can barely get a table anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, they're looking from chefs, cooks to wait staff. So that could be the silver lining in that one. And this is just a comment saying, I think the Penman study is supposed to include the Neptune Beach part of Penman.
It does. Yeah. So it includes all of Penman. What I mean by we need to talk to Neptune Beach is, I think I have a pretty good sense of what Jack's Beach is looking for from their section of it. I think Neptune Beach has needs to kind of go through their process and think through exactly what they want for their end of it. Do they want it to go to Atlantic? Do they want to focus on Florida? What do they want to do with this effort? But we'll start on the south part of the street and work our way up.
And I can tell you, Penman is really highly utilized because traffic on 3rd Street is almost like rush hour.
Yeah. Look, I drove all around the beaches almost for an entire day, and literally thinking before I took office, what's the most impactful thing I could do for our community? I was like, I think Penman is it. And that, making sure the beaches are safe. And by that, I mean that the dunes are where they need to be, and the renourishment's happening the way it needs to happen.
Right. So here's a question about, what is Jacksonville doing about expanding boat ramp parking in Jack's Beach? This is something that Councilman Art Graham and Bill Gulliford tried to do, but have not been able to acquire the land to expand parking.
Yeah, I think a solution to that is coming. We're working with the developer right now for on 2nd Street. There's $11 million in the CIP for rebuild of 2nd Street. I think that'll all be part and parcel of one effort. I'm always careful. I don't want to overpromise, but I feel like we have a solution in the works here.
Okay. This is Jacksonville receiving any federal funds to help with flood issues? I.e. San Marco. Can the downtown plan go up Main Street with some beauty?
I'm tracking 2 questions. So the answer is yes, we are getting a lot of federal funds. Some of those funds can be used for infrastructure projects. And yes, we could do infrastructure projects that are relating to flooding. So the answer is yes. The second question is, Main Street obviously could use more, but it is getting much, much better. I mean, it's certainly better today than it was even just 2 or 3 years ago. But and there's a nice community association there that's working on beautifying it. In fact, a lot of beaches residents own places over there. And my main focus is the beaches, but yeah, I care about Main Street up there. It's nice to see it improve over time here.
Okay, great. Going back to your question to us about the sale of JEA at beaches, was there any liability on the city council's hush before it all happened? Hush is all in caps.
I think maybe the question is about the cone of silence. So they told us at the beginning of the process that I literally could not voice an opinion about the sale of JEA. Otherwise, I might impact the bidders. I disagreed with that. I put my lawyer hat on and say, I don't think this is true, but I also didn't want to commit a crime. And so I followed their rules. When they finally, it was clear that, in my opinion, they were committing fraud, I said, I don't care about your rules. I'm going to have this meeting and we're going to have this out. And so we did. And I was the first city council person to really hammer them on their bonuses and to require a meeting and drag the executives out front. I did that with Councilman Salem. So no, I think we did our job. I'm happy with where we are today. And if we hadn't stepped up, I don't know where we would be.
It looks like this might be the last question, but what is Jacksonville doing about the gun violence crisis?
Certainly not enough. It seems as though there is an unrelenting number of murders in Jacksonville, and they tend to happen in the same zip codes, and the demographics of the folks involved seem to be very consistent. And so, in my opinion, the most important thing we can do is to get to kids when they're young. And when I say young, I mean like 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade with mentors. For 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, we need to give them after school programs, reading programs. I've been an advocate for the Kids Hope Alliance. The first thing I did with the city of Jacksonville was serve on the Jacksonville Journey. I visited almost every single elementary school in Jacksonville, looking at their after school programs. I'm passionate about getting to kids early. That's how we solve these problems. I would also, I'm a passionate that kids should not have to go to failing schools. So I'm a big fan of parents having choice to move their kids around the district, whether it's to a charter school or another public school. But if they're unhappy with what they're getting at their local school, I want to give their kids every chance they can. It doesn't matter what neighborhood you are in Jacksonville. So I love the question. It's something I think about all the time.
But it's really a socioeconomic crisis. I mean,
It is.
The zip code where most of the violence happens, the kids, as many resources as we could pour into that particular area, it's still not stopping the fear. It's still not stopping the violence, the gang violence. You've got families who they don't know if they're going to have their child come home safe.
I'll give you an example of the snapshot of just how bad the gang issue is that I have talked to multiple high school students, who said when I was a kid, they're already kids, but when they were younger kids, they said the only person I had to look up to, the only person who ever bought me clothes, who ever gave me ice cream, who was ever there, were the gang members in my neighborhood or the gang members in my apartment complex. Those were the people they had to look up to. So it's not shocking at all that they simply follow into their footsteps. Kids will follow along with whatever example they have. I think we need to do a better job of showing them another path. And I believe in that 100%. And I've been an advocate for funding those programs fully.
Yeah. Well, and it's about the parents having those opportunities where the parents aren't working 2 or 3 jobs, not being able to be home when they need to be home with their kids and that sort of thing. I mean, it's that whole trickle down. So, okay, we'll end on this one. One more marijuana.
Sounds like they already had too much. I don't know what the question is.
Well, I don't know. I guess, is there any, I don't know. The question's pretty vague about that, but I'm presuming it's talking about, is there any chance of it being passed here? I don't know.
I don't know of any efforts right now for decriminalization. I suspect it wouldn't pass the city council.
Even decriminalization?
Yeah, I don't think it would. Not this council. We have a very conservative city council.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But okay. All right. It's 7:57. So perfect timing. I think we've gone through all the questions. Councilman Diamond, Rory, we really appreciate your time. We appreciate everything that you're doing. We'd like to see you attend more of our meetings just so, you're kept, I know that you know what's going on in the cities. It's just nice to have you attend and be part of the audience, but we do appreciate everything you're doing. Appreciate everything you're doing with Canines for Warriors.
Thank you.
Again, congratulations.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I look forward to doing this. Hopefully next year I'll be doing this in person.
Yes, let's hope so. That I think we're all getting Zoomed weary, but it's working so far and it's what we've got. So thank you for everything. And as Councilman Diamond said, if you have any questions, contact him directly. He responds within 24 hours typically, or Mackenzie will for sure. So thank you, and we appreciate everything you do and continue to do for us here at the beaches.
Thanks, team. Appreciate y'all.
All right, so thank you all for participating. Please just take our short meeting survey at the conclusion. Take you like 2 seconds. We just want to make sure that what we're bringing to you is still relevant and interesting. Again, watch the recorded meeting on our YouTube channel, Beaches Watch 2012. Follow us on Facebook, visit our website, join or renew your membership today. It really helps support our efforts in what we are doing for our community. So thank you and good night, and have a safe week. All right, good night.